So if you're thinking about starting Amazon KDP in 2024, this might be the video for you. So as we go through this video, I'm going to talk about whether I feel Amazon KDP is worth starting in 2024. We'll take a look at the potential income for this business model. We'll take a look at tools and software needed, if any at all. And I have a super green section to emphasize the importance of how we need to deal with people that are potentially people in software that are actually increasing competition to certain niches. From there, we'll take a look at the different options you have for the type of books that you should publish, which are low, medium, and high content books. And then we've got a big section at the end here, which I think is going to be the best advertising strategies that you can utilize for your publishing business in 2024 and beyond. So before we get into this, my name is Chris. I've been publishing since 2012 or 2013. It wasn't until around 2018 that I pivoted the way that I publish books on Amazon, kind of going against the grain, which now allows me to sell over 4,000 units per month. Just to update this so we can see where we're at so far this month, the first 10 days of June, we're at 1,310 units. So always like to kind of pair this with the reality of advertising that goes into books, especially in 2024. So as you'll see as we go through this video, I have a pretty non-aggressive approach to advertising campaigns. So I'm spending around $15 to $25 per day on my ads. So around a year ago, I think it was, I announced that I would be creating a Discord server for like-minded publishers. I tend to drop into this server. It's a free server every single day where I give my feedback on people's advertising campaigns, book covers, niches, etc., etc. If you want to join this Discord, you can go to the link below. It's going to be one of the best resources that you can have for your publishing journey. And if you're super serious about taking your publishing to the next level as soon as possible, make sure that you check out chrisraydog.com. We're going to be opening this service very soon, where we're going to have weekly live calls, exclusive video content for every type of course that you could possibly imagine. There's going to be a ton that goes into this and more exclusive features inside the Discord group as well. So make sure you check this out from the description below. Join the free Discord, check out this service as well. Let me know what you think. So let's get into this and talk about whether you should start KDP in 2024. So if publishing is something that sounds even remotely interesting for you and you are interested in building an online business, then yes, you should go through it. But if you're one of these people that just hops from one shiny object to the next and wants to try one business model here, the next business model here, then no, like nothing's really going to work for you. You have to decide upon a business model, go for it and go all in on it. Now, with that in mind, we have to be willing to treat this like a business and accept that any business is going to take time to build. So if you're someone that just wants to produce a few notebooks, one coloring book for like 3 or 4 weeks and then give up because you've not seen any sales, then this isn't going to be for you. And I think the whole make money online thing isn't going to be for you either. So the type of person that we kind of tend to deal with a lot are very, very, very skeptical people. And I think that's perfectly normal to be skeptical, but there's this underlying feeling that people who are successful have some real secret sauce that they're not sharing with other people, and really it just doesn't exist. The secret sauce is just treating this like a business basically. But as we go through this video, I will be sharing what I feel the secret sauce actually is, even if it's quite obvious. So again, with any business model, we have to be realistic about the potential income that we stand to make. So if you do the same, and this is more in 2024, this is more evident than ever. If you do the same as everyone else, you can expect very little. So you'll find that a lot of people who just do the same as everyone else, they're stuck making $50 to $100 a month, or just losing money on advertising campaigns every single month. So if you're willing to follow a game plan and not be scared to be better than the competition, I'm not going to say that the income is unlimited, but as I switched my approach to publishing is what made me go from losing money to reaching around, I think on average, around $6,000 a month. Come the end of this year, that's going to be hopefully considerably higher. Let's talk about tools and software. Now, if you're doing the whole YouTube thing, you're getting information from YouTube, you'll see that people recommend a wealth of different software, niche research, content creation software, keyword software. There's just tons of it, and it can be a bit kind of brain frying to know which to use, if any. So my opinion is that you don't need any at all. Like, using software is not going to be the difference between making sales on Amazon and not making sales. So if you are going to invest into any type of software, anything where you can create content, you've probably seen me promote stuff on my channel before. That's going to be the best use of your money. Anything that creates content is going to be better than I think like niche research tools, for example. So the tools that I work with are just a BSR tool. There's quite a few of them out there. I use DS Amazon QuickView, and any kind of historic data tool. Again, both of these are going to be free. I use Helium 10's historic data tool. I will show you in just a second. And what I tend to do is to avoid any kind of niche feeding tools, and I'll show you why. This is going to be the secret sauce. But let me just show you a couple of these tools now. And get Canva as well. Canva's pretty handy. So one of the first tools that I use and I recommend to everyone is DS Amazon QuickView. It's a Chrome extension that just allows you to see the BSRs below each book. And we'll talk about, I've got plenty of videos regarding niche research. We're not going to go into that here. And the other tool that I use is Helium 10 Chrome extension, which I believe is free as well, which just allows you to see the historic BSRs for any of the books that you click on when you're doing your niche research. You can see that if a book you're interested in kind of trying to compete with, how well that's doing over the course of its lifetime, and see where it sort of peaks and dips. And this is what matters really, not kind of just quick sales on Amazon. You want to know that a book has potential to make you money for a long time if you get things right. And that's why I use this tool here, just to give me that kind of confirmation that the niche that I'm getting into is going to have appeal for a prolonged period. So regarding the kind of niche research tools, I've been kind of testing people's niche research tools like KD Spy, and I gotta say I'm disappointed. I just really don't see the need for using any type of software like this. In fact, I found using this, I got nothing against this or the company or anything at all. I just found that using this was really slowing me down when it came to my niche research. And what software like this does, it estimates how many sales and how much money and how many reviews. And like, this is just completely against what I believe in. I believe in doing all your research on Amazon. These are all estimations. So you know, you can get this information just from looking at the BSRs and the historic data for these. And I guess some people might find this type of software useful. I would just recommend that if you are using any kind of niche or keyword tool, is that you finish all of your research on Amazon. Which moves me on to what I do feel like is the secret sauce. And we have our special green section here because this is important. We're dealing with niche ruiners. So I'm talking about hot niche videos and software that feeds you niches. So maybe this is slightly controversial, but it kind of makes sense, right? There's a lot of exposure to certain niches through virtue of these kind of YouTube videos, and I've been guilty of this myself. I'll be the first to admit this. But we have to assume that if a video is getting 100,000 views, or if 1 million people are using certain software, it's obviously not that much, but the competition is going to increase for those niches. It has to. Like, there's no way that this isn't affecting certain niches. And I've been in these niches. People have even done it for my books as well, and it is frustrating in my opinion. So here's the thing, in my opinion, if you're taking niches from niche videos, if you're taking niches from software, you are already late to that party. It doesn't mean that you can't make sales. I've been in many competitive niches that people have shown off, that software has shown off. It doesn't mean that you can't make sales. It just means that you're going to be late. Therefore, you're going to have to do something different or spend more on advertising campaigns to get your book seen amongst the huge amount of competition for these type of niches. So here's the thing, what people do, and this is getting into the kind of secret sauce, is everyone just makes the same book and expects to make sales versus those well-established books, when it just doesn't work like that. Again, it doesn't mean you can't make sales, but if you want to get into these kind of hot niches and take a good amount of the sales, you have to do something different or better. Like, it's illogical to think that if you come into one of these niches where there's tons of competition, lots of established books with lots of reviews on them, it's illogical to think that if you do the bare minimum that you're going to expect to make similar amounts of sales. You might make some sales, but really what I found is that just making a few tweaks to your book, you can actually kind of position yourself past these well-established books and take some of the sales for yourself. So a prime example of this would be these kind of simple coloring books that are popping up everywhere on Amazon. If you just look at the new arrivals for this niche alone, every day people are uploading tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of these type of books, and for the most part, a lot of them, they're no better than what exists already, but people upload these hoping to make similar sales to what does already exist. So in these cases where if you feel like there's a lot of exposure to a certain niche, then for me it's always been a case of like, you have to do something better or different where it makes sense to do so. So for example, for this type of book here, as you can see, this is not better and it's not different in a good way. Like, it's not better in the sense that the book cover, it is no better than anything. In fact, this is a bad book cover, and it's not different in a way that makes sense. Like a koala edition, I don't think people are looking for that. Like, yes, it has some sales, but I think this is probably through virtue of advertising spend. And again, just looking through these, like, these are all copies. Like, this style is a copy, this is a copy, like this is a copy of Coco Wild. These are all people that are just like, they've been recommended this niche through YouTube or niche software, and then they just go ahead and create, you know, the bare minimum, expect to make sales. So what you can do in cases like this, where if you feel like there's been a lot of exposure to a niche that you're interested in entering, is to pair the following things is what's going to put you ahead of 99% of people. Have an amazing book cover. So an amazing book cover, no one knows what that is unless you have experience in the game. And like I say, this is one of the reasons why I'm opening up the service and the free Discord, is so that if you want to get feedback on your cover, so that you know that you're ready to publish a book and have a better book than what is out there, you can get my feedback on that. So again, if you want to go to the free Discord and you want to share anything and get feedback before you launch a book, you can join the Discord from the description below or the pinned comment below. So in my opinion, what it takes is that you have the best book cover that you can in the niche, and then you actually try and target slightly different keywords from what other people are targeting. So that's a whole different video about targeting different keywords to get an advantage over people that are flooding into the exact same keywords. So you take that and then you pair this with advertising strategies, okay? So we're going to talk about the advertising strategies now. So this to me is why it's so important to do niche research on Amazon. So do a little bit of niche research every single day. It's going to make a huge difference for you, because you're going to start noticing these trends, the styles of books and new niches that come through that are doing really well by the kind of trendsetters. So like the bigger publishers. Obviously don't copy, but like this is just the way things are in this business, is that you do follow trends basically of what's doing well, and then you make something better. You try and get into those niches. And that's why it's so important for me to do the research on Amazon, is because by the time people have made YouTube videos about them, or by the time that niche software actually starts showing these books, then, you know, it would have been too late. But you want to be first to it if you're going this route. It can make a huge difference to the success that you have in niches and how easy it is to get established into those niches quicker. So that's why, again, important research on Amazon. So success for me in 2024 is that we have those fundamentals. We take gorgeous book covers, good niches, we differentiate, we add something unique to our books, we make our books stand out in some way. We get the visibility through using different keywords. Then we need to pair all of this with advertising strategies. Like for me, running ads is a necessity for success, or at the very least, massively increasing your chances of success. And online, you will see tons of different advertising strategies. Like there's just so many floating around there that you're not going to know where to start. So one consistent that I've noticed across successful publishers are that most people will test a book's potential in the marketplace first using advertising strategies. So for me, doing low and medium content books, so like journals and coloring books, activity books, workbooks, these books are typically priced quite low, and that needs to be taken into consideration. And this is something, again, I know people that will spend thousands on ads for low content books, which is fine, they can do that. But for me, it has to make more sense than that. Like there has to be a cautious approach. We have to kind of fish out the books that are worth spending on, okay? So to visualize that now, this is kind of one of my updated strategies that I'm working on. And again, like for me, this is what it takes to be successful with publishing. It doesn't matter if it's 2024, 25, 26, but whenever that you start publishing, this is what it takes, in my opinion. So to visualize this, what we have is a natural failure percentages of your books. Now, no matter what anyone says, there will always be a natural failure percentage. There will just be some books that don't get accepted well into the marketplace. No matter how good your mum, your dad, or your dog thinks your book is, it's not destined to work. Okay, so let's just assume that we have 4 books that we publish onto Amazon. So we have book 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4 here. So this is what my kind of strategy looks like at the moment, is that we have these 4 books. Let's say that we've launched them onto Amazon. Typically what I find in these numbers, they're going to be, for me, other people might be slightly higher, slightly less, but one of these books will filter through and be successful in the marketplace. So that is determined by advertising strategy. So it doesn't mean that these books get cut off completely. It just means that they don't have the potential that this book does here. So the focus slightly goes away from these books here. And then we start focusing on what has been working. So let's say that one book has started picking up some really nice organic sales. What we can do is look to reduce the advertising spend on the books that aren't necessarily worth spending on anymore. Because what a lot of people will do, they get emotionally attached to their books. They don't go through like a launch phase, a test phase, and just spend forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and therefore lose money. Okay, that you have to make money. You have to make your money back at some point, and that's why I don't recommend really aggressive advertising strategies for low price books, because you have to make the money back at some point. So let's say that one book has gone through and it's kind of been accepted well, it's getting the organic sales. So what I'm looking to do here now is to boost past the competition. So what I've been experimenting with at the moment is to take the keywords that have been converting well for this book. And again, if this seems slightly complicated, we're going to explain all this inside the Discord and the server. It's going to make much more sense. But we'll take the keywords that are converting well and we start producing these individual manual keyword campaigns. So kind of like these winning keyword campaigns. So what you'll be able to find that you can do when it comes to publishing your next book is you'll be able to take some of this information and then you can then create your next book based off of this information. So this is something that I'm kind of working on at the moment to try and make the most of real data. Like this information we get is real data. We need to make the most of it and create more books from it. And hopefully what will happen is the next book that we create will have a higher chance of selling. Okay, so it sounds a little bit complex, but if you're part of the sellers group, we have all the course content that goes over all this. You have me that you can talk to every single week inside of that service as well to get my feedback on your book covers, your advertising strategies, etc., etc. And for me, this is one of the reasons in 2024 why a lot of people are just losing money with advertising, is because they can't accept that some books will just fail and that they have to focus on the ones that are actually doing well for them. So Amazon can give you a wealth of information, a wealth of metrics that you can work with to establish whether you should keep your book running or whether you should turn things off. So like I say, if you want a little bit more information on that, make sure that you do join the Discord channel below. Send me screenshots of your advertising accounts and things like that, and we'll take a look at whether you should be reducing your cost per click or whether your book isn't even good enough. We'll be doing that on the live calls so you can get my exact feedback on where you're going. So yeah, for me, this is like this strategy of doing things is incredibly important. We're kind of just calling this like advertising management at this point, like working alongside low priced books. You have to make your advertising account work alongside it where it makes sense to do so, because you can't just keep losing and losing and losing and losing money. So for me, this is one thing to note here why advertising campaigns are so important, even if they're not making you a direct profit, is that Amazon is looking at the amount of sales that you're making on the whole. So the amount of sales that you make from advertising plus your organic sales. Amazon isn't going to care. Like it's all going to contribute toward the volume of sales that you're getting, and the more sales you're getting, the more relevant you're going to become in the searches. So it's important for me. We don't necessarily turn off advertising campaigns ever, but we have to run them at a slight loss or a slight profit or a break even point whilst we're running with those organic sales as well. So we just keep getting boost up the algorithm, etc., etc. So also the type of books that you can publish, typically we're looking at 3 different areas here: low content, medium content, or higher content books. So low content book, for me, it's ideal for people starting with KDP, but you have to be realistic with the results. I don't think there's that many people publishing books, notebooks, like journals, notebooks, etc. in 2024 that are making decent money with low content books. I could be wrong. I actually started with high content books, then I moved to low content books. Didn't have much success until I started doing things, making unique books, like funny books with funny sayings on them. That's how I got started with like the whole low content thing. That's where I had success with. Then I moved on to medium content books because I think for me this is more enjoyable. The topics like activity books, education books, activity books, coloring books and things like that is more interesting for me. I enjoy having this content created, and if there's that enjoyment element to it, you're going to work harder and therefore have more success. It's becoming more and more popular, obviously, as these type of videos come out. More people want to get into them. And also now we have more people talking about doing high content books, which is actually what I started with in 2000. When I started publishing again in 2018, I wrote a high content book, which took like 3 or 4 months. And I would say that high content books definitely have the most potential for earnings, because you can do ebooks, paperback, hardback, and audio books for these. The problem with this is that it's not as easy as people make it sound. I wrote one book which did really well, and then wrote another 3 or 4 which completely failed, and I even hired one person to do one for a lot of money which failed as well. So for these high content books, I feel like you really have to have that specialist information, and that's probably going to cost you a lot of money. But I think definitely this is the end goal for me. Like, even though I'm doing quite well. I still want to get back into high content books, but it has to make sense. So for most people watching this, low content and medium content books are going to be a great starting point for you. So over the last sort of couple of years of doing this, I've noticed that no matter what advice is being given on YouTube, some people will swear blind that they've watched every video, they've implemented all the tips and strategies and had no success. And when it comes to what they're actually doing, it's nowhere near good enough, which is why we're opening up the Raydog service to do the weekly calls, to do the one-on-one stuff, potential one-on-one stuff and course content, so that we can kind of get a better idea as to what you're actually doing and pinpoint where we think you're going wrong. So if you want to join the service, feel free to do that. Check out what's on offer. If you want to just join the free Discord, where I do one free call, where I do one group call every single month for free. And if you feel like you value my opinion, I'm going to be able to identify the areas that you need to work on to give you the confidence that when you launch a book, you're going to have the best chance possible of making sales. So that's in the description if you want to check those things out. But that's it for this video. I'll see you very soon.